Cool. So at any point, if you're not able to hear me, or if you're unable to follow, or if I'm too fast, because I have a tendency to speak fast, please do stop me. And if something is unclear, please definitely stop me. This is not something like I just want to finish in half an hour or something. I have all the time. So feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to stop me at any point in your time. Is that okay? You can hear me, right? Okay, perfect. So, one of the reasons I chose this topic, charter your growth story, is because I felt that over a period of time in my life, that it is possible to actually plan ahead and then set yourself up for success. So people will often say that, "Oh, I got lucky," or people will say, "I didn't know that this is what was required at a later stage in their life." So to ensure that such a thing does not happen, I feel if you know what you're going after, you can definitely plan ahead and work towards it. So that's what I thought. I built a small framework around this, and I will ensure that I share that with you and answer any questions you have about that. So, brief background about me. Like, I hail from Vishakhapatnam, and I lived in multiple cities across India, ranging from Coimbatore, Goa, Bangalore, Kolkata to Delhi, Chennai, like a lot of places. Most of my schooling was in Chennai, though. So, I know Tamil pretty well, and I know Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, Kannada, English. So, I can speak five different languages very conversantly. And I graduated from NIT Trichy in 2014. Then I pursued a program called Young India Fellowship in 2015. And then currently I'm finishing my MBA this year from Indiana University in US. So prior to doing my MBA, I had about 3 years of experience as a product manager at Just Dial. So the things which I have not mentioned here is I am actively involved I was very active when I was in college. Right from I was part of Pragyan, I was part of NITFest, I was part of uh, September, and then I was the campus recruitment coordinator for my department as well in the final year. So my interest is in philosophy and mindfulness, and I love to play badminton, chess, and cricket. Um, the new thing which I've developed after coming to US though is cooking. So right now I love cooking because I'm a foodie and I love to cook my own food. And the fun fact about me is I like to create my own codes. So some of the things which I've created, I've just listed them here. You can see. Earning is a subset of learning is one of my favorite quotes. Like if you actually look at the word, it's quite literally a subset. So that's why things like that make me happy about the way I create quotes. So is it audible and everything is clear until now? Okay. So I just wanted to show you something. And my favorite bird is eagle. So we start our growth story here because I'll tell you why. So if you look at an eagle, it flies as high as 35,000 feet, and then it comes and picks its prey very efficiently from even places like water. So the reason why I like this bird is for two main reasons. So it has the ability to keep two different goals at mind. So when we are looking at objects, our vision and a lot of other animals just can only look at one particular item or a thing. So for example, eagle can prey at two different animals at the same time. So there could be a deer, and there could be a deer one and deer two about 3 kilometers apart. But eagle has the ability to keep both of them in mind and then decide which one it wants to attack when it's coming down. So the ability to focus on multiple goals is something which I really like about eagle. And then the next thing is it also talks to the concept of how do you plan and how do you execute. So when you look at eagle, it is planning on the two targets from 30,000 feet, and as it comes down, it perfectly executes picking up its prey. So it is one of the fastest birds in the world, which comes down at about 200 miles per hour when it's coming down from the height to pick up its prey. So the whole idea why eagle inspires me is, like I mentioned, the two reasons is one, it can target multiple goals and ensure that once it has fixated on one particular goal, it's more often than not very successful. So I just wanted to start on that note because the fact that people say, oh, you should have only one goal in life, you should have only one aim in life, is all wrong. This is again my perspective. So the first thing about charting your growth story is that it's okay to have multiple goals. It's okay to change your goals. But when you commit to a particular goal, it's very important to see through it and execute it to the perfection. So I did ask, yeah, sorry. Okay. So I did ask a poll on what do you want to do after NIT Trichy. So I know that the poll did not receive a lot of responses. So if you can just quickly shout out among the applicants who are there, what do you want to do after NIT Trichy? We can get started with that. Pardon? Okay. Higher studies. Okay, MS or what are you planning for? Okay. Okay. Okay, that's okay. You're still figuring out. And what about you, sir? Pardon? Oh, startup. Okay, nice. Okay, nice. So today we will discuss on like, okay, if you know how to achieve your goal, what do you do? If you don't know what to achieve your goal, what do you do? So with that being said, have you all heard of the quote, which is people would have said, "Go with the flow." Has anyone heard of that? Like, oh, don't worry, go with the flow. Yeah. So what do you think about that? Okay. Any other thoughts? Got it. Great. So the my take on the fact that go with the flow. This is what people say: keep calm and go with the flow. Don't worry about it. Uh, to an extent, it's right in a philosophical sense that yes, not everything is in our control. But what I am trying to get at today is yes, you can go with the flow, but you have to decide the flow which is right for you. So, for example, when I say that, you have to know where you're trying to go, and then you have to put in efforts towards that. And if things don't happen, it's okay. So, the counter to that, which I always have, is in a stream of water, be it a river or a lake, only dead fish go with the flow. Fish are always going in their own groups, and only the dead fish get left behind, and they just go with um, the way water is flowing. So whenever next time someone tells you go with the flow, always think about the fact that only dead fish go with the flow. The best case scenario would be to make your own flow and then ensure that you succeed in whatever you're trying to do. So what I'm going to tell you today does not guarantee you success, but the only hope I have is it can set you up for success. And every time you think about success or trying to achieve a goal which you have, if the probability is greater than 0.5 or 50%, you are definitely doing much better than leaving it to chance. So this is the main takeaway from today's session. I'll explain and work through all of these things, whatever I'm going to discuss. So there are two situations, right? So some of you said you know what you want to do and or where you want to go as a goal, and some of you said you do not know where you want to go, right? So in case you know where you what you want to do, I would say you fall under the passion. And if you do not know, if you do not know where you want to go, I would say you would have to figure out your passion or your goal here. If you know what you want to do, you have to figure out what are the skills required to get there and whether there is an opportunity. How do you get to that opportunity? In an ideal world, after everything sets in place, we would be in a place, we should ideally be in a position where we are operating at the intersection of our passion, our skill, and where there is opportunity. That's when you will make money, you are happy, and you're able to contribute to the company or research or whatever you're planning to pursue. So let's start with the first case where you do not know what your goal is. I think a couple of you mentioned that I do not know, I will figure out, which is very common as well. And it's not that I am here talking and I have figured out everything in my life. So there are things which I have figured out, there are things which I have not figured out. So all of us are in our life are at different stages when we do not know certain things or we do not know what our next goal is or where you want to go. And there are certain things about our life that we know, yes, this is where I want to go. But the question is, how do I get there? And how do I set myself up for success to get there? So, when you know your goal, well, let's start with that. Say, for example, someone mentioned that they wanted to pursue masters. I'm assuming that masters means masters in US. But this is an example which people, which you could think about, and then always start with the end in mind. That is what a goal is, right? So, end goal, one of your end goal in your life at this stage could be pursuing a master's in US. So the tool which I use is something called as a driver tree. So a driver tree is basically when you say, okay, I want to do a master's in US. When you are in your first year or second year, start asking yourself and start talking to people. Whatever you see here, like the GRE score, research project, good GPA, good letters of recommendation, you would only know that these are required for your masters when you talk to people or when you do your own research. That's when you will get to know all of these things. Once you've figured these things out, always think about the next step. What are the things which are required to get that? So, for instance, if somebody wants to do an MS in US and all the 3 years of their engineering, they did not score a good GPA, and at the final year, they realize, okay, now I want to apply. And then you realize that, okay, I need at least an 8.5 or an 8 of GPA. Is it possible to improve? Definitely not. You can't improve your GPA at the last minute. So starting with the end in your mind, like, okay, this could be one of the goals I might go after at the end of 4 years, would put you in a position to think about what's important to where do you want to invest your time and money and resources. So if you know that, okay, MS in US is something which interests you, then from the beginning of first year or like second year, you should start focusing on your GPA to ensure that it's at least above 8. And then you should do some research projects if you're planning to do a research-based MS in US. And then you need some good letters of recommendation. So then how you start building yourself or how you start planning ahead is, okay, for a good GRE score, I need good verbal and good quantitative aptitude. Generally, engineers are good with quantitative aptitude and some of us might need help with verbal. So I will practice talking regularly. I'll practice learning or reading regularly. So by the third year or fourth year, when you come to take the GRE test, it would not be a hassle that you're struggling to improve your score at that point. Let's say you want to do this, you want to do research projects as well, so that your SOP, the statement of purpose, looks really good. And research projects to do at IITs depend on good grades, and you have to look for those opportunities, and your faculty from NIT Trichy have to recommend it. So again, it comes down to having good grades, proactively looking for opportunities. Now, if you want strong letters of recommendation, then obviously the faculty at NIT Trichy need to vouch for you. You should have a good rapport with them, And wherever you go and do your internship or in plant training, all of those relationships are really important. So when you build something like this for a small simple thing like this, you would start realizing the details which you can get into and ensure that you focus your energies and time on the right things. Does this make sense? Hello? Okay, cool. So you might say, okay, I don't know what I want to do, or there's a lot of times when you don't know what is your goal. Like, for example, I don't know whether I want to do an MBA, or I don't know whether I want to do an MS, or I might end up doing my own startup company as well. So I do not know what I want to do. That's totally fine. We have all been in that position and we have all tried to figure out. But the main important point here is do not be in that position for a long time. Always try to figure out what is your next move. Because only when you know what could be your next move, then you can start planning it. So the different mediums for learning about or exploring different opportunities is read online, Medium, Quora, Reddit, blogs, whatever works for you. And offline, the most important resource that you have come to NIT is your senior. So think about this way. Every year, about 800 students graduate from NIT Trichy. And even if you consider the last 10 years of 10-year batches, that's about 8,000 students in the world. And 8,000 students who are extremely talented, just like you are, and who are extremely willing to help if you reach out to them with the right message in your LinkedIn request. So reach out to alumni, reach out to your current NIT seniors, faculty. Some of the faculty at NIT Trichy are really good, and then join different clubs which you think where you think your like-minded people are there. So if you think that okay, marketing is a club where I feel I'll meet like-minded people, join that. If you think Toastmasters is a club where you feel you'll meet like-minded people, join that. And then talk to people about that. Nurture those relationships. That is something which will pay off in a big way in the long run. So some tips about if you do not know where you want to be. Okay, whether I want to do MS, MBA, I don't know, or I want to start up, whether I should start up. If you do not know, then I would say at least talk to one person a week at an IIT because in your batch there are about 800 students, and if you even know 400 of them or 450 of them very well or decently well, that's a great achievement in itself in the 4 years time. And then the next thing I would say is read often, like books, blogs, whatever works, whatever medium works for you, read often. NIT Trichy has great resources in terms of library, Okta, and all of those things. Use them, spend your time in a good manner, and read often. Oftentimes, what happens is if you look at how much time and effort you put in to get into NIT Trichy, reading those H.C. Verma books or all of those things, physics and all of physics, chemistry, and math, versus when after you come to NIT Trichy, people all of a sudden stop reading so much. So I would highly recommend that you continue reading continuously so that you can improve yourself. And if you feel reading is not your cup of tea, then it's okay. You can listen to podcasts and be updated from time to time. Then the last and the most important thing is if when in doubt, try things and then decide. So for example, you do not know if a career in your core engineering is something right for you. You do not know whether a research life is something you want to do in the long run. Do a small internship in a research project. See if that is something which you liked. Talk to your parents, your sister or brother about it, like how you felt doing that internship. And then decide, okay, this is not something for me, or you know what, this is something which really excites me. And always try different things because NIT is a very, very safe, fail-safe environment. There is no harm. Nobody's going to judge you. Just try different things and you should be in a good shape. So these are different ways how you can explore your goal. So I want to give you an example of, you might be like, okay, all this is fine, but this is all theory. How do you apply it to your life? So I thought I'll give some examples from my own life. When I was at NIT Trichy, right in your shoes. So like I mentioned, I am a civil engineer by education. The first question, civil engineering was not definitely my first choice when I wanted to come to NIT Trichy. So I was still figuring out okay, is civil engineering something I wanted to do? So this is a question which ties back to what we discussed here. I don't know what my goal is, whether I want to do MS, whether I wanted to do MBA. I did not know what I wanted to do. In that time, I think in my I think second year summer internship or first year summer internship, I went and did a civil engineering implant training for about 2 months, working in the field, learning, working with the engineers, contractors, and working with the laborers on the field. I what I realized was, oh, definitely I do not want to pursue this career. So I put in all the effort in the world, joined NIT Trichy in a civil engineering field, but wasn't sure whether I wanted to pursue that. And then I went to this implant training. I did not really like the environment. I did not really feel that I would. I did not see myself doing this for a long period of time. So I said, you know what? I have to pivot. This is not something I want in my life. Then the next thing was business is something that started to interest me. I was reading a lot of books, and I knew that okay, business is somewhere I see myself in the long run. So I thought, okay, my goal is to become a business leader. So that is something which I thought like in a broad sense. Then I listed down all the things that I need to develop. So first thing was leadership qualities, interpersonal skills. Whether an MBA is required or not, I did not know at that point in time. Then I should know about businesses, of course. I should develop good analytical skills, and then I should have some good work experience. That's when all of these put together will put me in a space to become a good business leader. So just to give you one example of how this driver tree helped me, I was thinking about an MBA, and then I was like, okay, I should I do it in India or abroad? So going back to this point, I said, so I did try the internship and then decided that this is not something I wanted. Now, when I knew what I want to do, I knew that I wanted to do an MBA, but I did not know how, where, what, nothing. So what I did was I reached out to a bunch of alumni from NIT. So I reached out to people who are in IIMs. I reached out to people who are in US, and I was in second and third year of my life at NIT. And then there I asked them about how is their experience, what did they do. That that led me to this. So initially I did not know what my passion was. Then I understood that business is my passion. So my goal was kind of clear. Then I did not know what skills are required for my MBA or to become a good business leader. Then after talking to a lot of people, I figured what is required here. Then I did not know about the opportunity. By opportunity, I did not know whether I want to do it in India or US. Then I again spoke to a lot of people and figured out that, okay, this is how it works in US, this is how it works in India. So the main thing, the bottom line you see here is oftentimes we are lazy to collect information. We are lazy to go and do the research. And then we are in the state of laziness that, okay, I do not have any goal, or I know where my goal is, but I do not want to put in effort. Please don't be in that position. Don't be lazy enough to collect that information, because what is separating between you and your goal to achieve that is your laziness. That's all. So once I collected all this information, I knew that okay, I did not want to do an MBA in India. I wanted to do it in abroad. So I've again done a driver tree similar to the MS. I won't repeat it all over again. Like if I needed an MBA, I needed good grades. I need to write good GMAT, letters of recommendation, positions of responsibility, management experience or internship. You ask me how I got to know all of these? I spoke to people. I spoke to seniors at NIT. I read online. I spoke to seniors who graduated from NIT Trichy. So that's how I figured out that all of these are important. So it's not just about figuring out, but also ensuring that you get to it. For instance, I knew in my after my first year, I did not want to continue in civil engineering. But when I graduated, I knew my grades would be important for my MBA. And I tried to maintain my GPA above 9 all through, although I did not like civil engineering. That's like a medicine which you do not like the taste of, but you have to still do it because it takes you towards the goal. So that is something which is very important. Just do what is required to be done so that you get to where you want to. Is it clear so far? Any doubts? I can't hear you. Can you be a little louder? Okay. Is it clear or am I going too fast? So yeah is for the, is it clear or am I going too fast? Okay, okay, cool. I just want to check because whatever I'm doing, it should be useful to you at the end of the day. So this is a situation where the one situation which I spoke to you about is when I knew what my goal was, but I did not know what to do or how to go about it. So that's how I figured out doing this. So I would say all of you take 5 minutes to, and the most important thing about the driver tree or whatever you're making is it is not something which is fixed. It keeps evolving with time. You often revisit it. So right now in my life, I'm trying to lose some weight. So I have a driver tree like this, which I've created for weight as well. Like I need to exercise, I need to stop eating junk, I need to ensure that I eat healthy food. So if I need to eat healthy food, I need to cook often. And then I need to ensure that I do not buy junk food. So those are the simple things. If you put pen to paper, then your thoughts become very clear. And that is what I want all of you to do as well. So if you can take 5 minutes to start making the driver tree for your goal, any goal which you might have. It could be a short term goal, like what you want to do in your second year of or third year of college, or what you want to do after you graduate from NIT Trichy. It would be great. So, can one of you, like, can a person who's coordinating this ensure that they do that for 5 minutes? Nitish, right? Okay. Hi, Manchi. Can you help the students do this for like about 5 minutes exercise? Do you all have like a paper or something which you can use, or you do not have that? Okay. So is it clear what I was telling, like how to make this, or you want me to revisit something? Let me know. I can definitely revisit. And so one of the things which I want to especially highlight about making goals and going after them is it's completely okay to change goals or pivot your decisions. Say, for example, she was mentioning she wants to be an entrepreneur today. And then 3 years down the lane, she thinks, no, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a singer. That's totally fine because that's human nature and it's totally fine to change or pivot your interest. But the whole thing is once you feel something is your interest, committing yourself to it and going and following through to ensure that you set up yourself for success is something very. So that's what I would say, which is just an important tip here is ensuring that it's okay to change your goals, something which you have to remember. And then you can go after two or more goals at the same time. You could want to be one of the best badminton players. That could be one of your goals. And you could also decide that you want to be an entrepreneur. So it's totally fine. Don't think that life is not a zero sum game where you only have to do one thing. That's what we are taught until we write the IITs and the JE, whatever it's called right now, that okay, this is your focus for the next 2 years or 3 years, but that's not how it works in the real world. So just these couple of points when you're doing this exercise or thinking about your life. So now that you have seen the process of knowing what to do when you do not know what your goal is and knowing what to do when you know what your goal is, there are some tips which I want to share from my experience that I feel are really important when you're thinking about your life at NIT and beyond, especially at the life at NIT. So the first thing is you always think that, okay, the biggest constraint in my life is money. But remember that that is definitely a constraint, but it's a renewable resource. As you all would have read about renewable energy, non renewable energy. So I thought I would relate that to it. So money is definitely renewable in the sense that it is something a constraint because of the upbringing or how much, what is the income level where you come from, all of those things matter. But it is renewable when I say is because once you start earning and once you get into a good lifestyle or a good company, then that is something which is renewable. Like you can earn that money back. But the two more biggest constraints or currencies in your life which you have to always remember, which are often overlooked, is time and energy. You would have heard about time management from people that yes, time once gone is gone. It's very true. So your time at NIT Trichy is very, very valuable. I would just say do as many productive things as possible because life after NIT Trichy, when you get to work or when you get to something else, you would not have as much free time as you have today. You have classes, you would be cribbing about those classes. There are too long classes, all of those are fine. But in the end, the evenings are all free. From 4 or 5 o'clock, you're always free. In some weekends, some weekdays, you have assignments, but other days, you are free. Definitely have fun with friends. All of those are important, but ensure that you spend your time in a very, very planned manner. Think of time as currency. Just like if you have 100 rupees, how do you budget? Similarly, every day you have like specific amount of minutes in your life or specific amount of hours in your life. So how do you budget those into it? Like you can definitely ensure that yes, I want to enjoy some time. That's fine, but don't do that as the goal of your life. So that's something which I would suggest. The last one is energy. Oftentimes people don't talk about energy, but what you think is what how you feel. So if you are always in negative thoughts, then you are in negative energy and you would not be doing productive or useful things. If I have to talk about one line about energy, I would say always discuss ideas and don't discuss people. So the thing we do is, oh, ava enna panna, oh, iva enna panna, or like, wo usne kya kiya, isne kya kiya. Talking about people is not going to take you anywhere in life after a point in time. Discuss ideas, discuss thoughts, debate with your friends, discuss different things, but reduce the talk about people. That way, you remove as much negativity about things in your life. Because if you analyze your day to day life, oftentimes the negative thoughts come when you talk about people. Oh, this fellow did that to me. Oh, that girl did this to him. Things like that. So always ensure that you are in the right frame of mind and put your channelize your energies in the right direction. The second thing which I want to talk about yourself. By that I mean all of you have I've read some of your essays and you've done a great job in putting forth your ideas for the campus. How do you improve it? And you have great ideas. The main important thing is you already taken the first step. You're becoming responsible for the community where you come from. Now the next thing is take ownership. If you are whether you are selected as a fellow or not, the most important thing is following through your ideas. Take ownership of your ideas and commit yourself. No matter how hard it is, push and try to achieve those things. If by the end of fourth year, whatever idea you put out in your essay, if you can achieve it, nothing like that. So try your best to do that. And the same applies to any club responsibilities you take up and everything you do. Don't just think about, okay, if I do this, the club president will be happy or the club's manager or somebody would be happy. Think about what am I gaining from this? I'm in the marketing club of say one of the fest. The thing which you want to improve is your communication skills, your convincing skills. So if you are in a Toastmasters club, you want to improve your communication skills as well again. So if you are in some other club, if you're in a technical related, if you're in say, I think it's called Delta or the coding club, you want to improve your technical skills. So commit yourself good amount of time and see what is your goal out of that club. Of course, you will help the college fest run, all of those things will happen, but ensure that you take initiatives to develop yourself. The most important thing which I want to say is help others and get help as much as you can, because we are such a big family of NIT Trichy people. Even now, the reason that a lot of us want to join this mentorship program or through any other means we want to help because that place has given us a lot of things and we are eternally grateful to it, and it's also the relationship which we have formed there. Like some of my best friends in my life are I have this is my third degree, and some of my best friends in my life are from NIT Trichy even now. In fact, my fiance will be getting married next year is from NIT Trichy, and she was from my own batch. So it's a very complex place where we live in, and NIT Trichy is a shared experience. Whenever you say anyone about the clock tower, or whenever you say anyone about Buhari, or whenever you say staff canteen, everyone connects to that emotion and feeling. Reaching out to alumni, reaching out to your seniors, do that because unless you reach out, we do not know what help you need. So always reach out and like the quote says there, things are always better with a best friend. So form great friendship and relationship with people. And the last and the most important thing is consistency. Whatever I discussed until now, it is not a one-time affair. It is not something you do just in this session and then you put that paper in dustbin and go ahead. It's about taking it forward, making it a day of your life, ensuring that you do this every week or every month, whatever works for you, but following this as a routine, just like how you brush your teeth. Always think about what is my goal, how do I get there? What is my goal? Yes, I know what my goal is. Okay, how do I get there? What is my goal? I don't know what my goal is. Let me figure out what my goal could be. So always think about it this way. Like think about your life in short sprints. Think about it like, okay, I run for short distance. Yes, now what do I need to do? I need to run this side. Okay, I go there. So always think about it that way and consistently put efforts to keep yourself occupied with productive and useful things. So Shiva and I spoke about the fact that some of you would be interviewing very soon. So I thought I will take a pause from the growth story and help you in your immediate growth journey of giving you some tips for the upcoming interview. So some of the things which are very important is how do you introduce yourself? So when the panelist asks you, tell us about yourself. So ensure you talk about your background, where you're bringing this from. Give them some highlights about your achievements, what inspires you and motivates you, and what are your hobbies or interests. So a common question could be like, why should you be selected and why is this scholarship important to you? Have a very convincing answer. These are very predictable questions. So think through all of these answers and then have them jotted down, run them through some of your friends or your family members and see if this makes sense. Don't go unprepared for an interview. Then one of the most important things is maintaining coherence with your essays. So imagine a situation when somebody says, I want to be a NASA scientist in their essay, and then suddenly comes up and says, I want to be a film actor. So it sounds funny when you're talking to a person, right? When the essay says NASA and the person says film actor. So I'm just exaggerating the level of coherence, but you should make whatever you say should connect to whatever you have written in your essay. Read your essays multiple times before you go for the interview and know what you've already written in your essays. That's something which is very important. The next important thing is to know is structuring your thoughts. All of you had great ideas in your SOPs, and I had the privilege of going through some of the great ideas which you have put forward. But having a layout of how to express your idea is something very important. So think about it this way. Any idea you have, what is the idea? Why is this idea relevant? Or what will this idea result in? And then how do we execute it? Or how do we implement this idea? So if you are able to think in such a manner, that will be easier for you to communicate your idea. And the person sitting on the opposite side, the interviewer, will also be able to understand what you are trying to say in a very easy manner. The next question is oftentimes we start talking before the interviewer finishes the question, and this happens more than you expect it to happen. So always listen to the interviewer attentively. Think through what you want to say for 30 seconds, and then or 20 seconds, and then talk to the interviewer. Then the most important thing is creating your presence, because first impressions do matter. So when you go there, dress professionally and ensure that you're dressed appropriately. Don't wear like a t-shirt for an interview. Ensure that give the panelists the respect they deserve. So dress professionally and groom yourself well, and then greet the interviewer and ensure that you definitely thank them at the end of the interview for taking time to interview you. These things will ensure that you are in a position where you will be able to create that good impression and are well prepared to deliver a good response to all the questions. So I think we are on time. Like I was planning to do something from about 8 to 9 or 8:15 to 9. So any other, if there is anything else which you want to ask, I will leave my email ID. You have my email ID, right? Like you can just share it with them. Feel free to drop me a message at any point in time. I was at the same shoes, sitting in A halls and lecture hall complexes, like what 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So I know all the pain which you go through, figuring out things in life at NIT Trichy. There's no water, sometimes no Wi-Fi, no power. A lot of things happen. So amongst all these things, it's like I said, it's a shared experience that we have about bad food at mess and a lot of other things. So feel free to reach out at any time, and happy to be of any help to anyone from NIT Trichy.